Hi there curry fans, welcome back to the channel. Another week and we've got another very tasty recipe for you. I've had a lot of requests for vegetarian and vegan curries. This one this week is not a vegan, it's a vegetarian, though there is an option to turn this into a vegan curry with one change, which we'll get to in a little while. But this recipe more or less comes straight out of my book, Quick and Easy Vegetarian Curry Recipes, and it's a potato curry. And on that book that I've got, and I'll post a link for this book down below, I have a strapline, and the strapline for the whole book is this: how can a curry with only one vegetable taste so amazing? Well, this is what this recipe is all about. This recipe, which has just got potato in it as a vegetable, no other anything else in it, no peas, no spinach, no nothing else, just potatoes in a yogurt gravy, is absolutely delicious. And even if you're not a vegetarian and you're about to click off and think, oh, I'll go and get another recipe, I would watch this recipe and make it, because you can have this as a curry, a veggie curry, you can have it as a side order. It's absolutely delicious. This yogurt gravy is incredible, the flavour that it gives. And there's no onion. That's the other amazing thing about this recipe. We have no onion in it. It's one of the few curry recipes that I have actually that doesn't have onion in it. So without further ado, let's see what we've got that's going into this potato curry. So first of all, we've got our potatoes, our parboiled potatoes. I don't know if you can see those here. We've got about 4 or 5 small to medium potatoes. This recipe will serve about 3. If you were going to have it as a main with a chapati, say a curry, but if you want it as a side order, obviously it'll go a little bit further. We've took these potatoes, we've peeled them, parboiled them, not too soft. We don't want them to crumble and disintegrate in the pan, so they're still a little bit firm. We've got some low-fat natural yogurt here. We're probably going to use about 6 tablespoons of low-fat natural yogurt. And this creates a delicious flavoured gravy. And they use a lot of, in Indian cooking, especially vegetarian Indian cooking, you either have tomato-based curries or yogurt-based. And you can really sort of, it's quite a versatile gravy. You can adapt this and use it with paneer or different things, and we'll get more into that as we explore a few more veggie curries. But this really does produce a lovely, delicious gravy. So we've got our natural yogurt. We've got a good handful of fresh coriander chopped, ready to go in. That's going to add some nice colour and flavour. We got some green chilies. We got about 5 green chilies, because I like this quite spicy. I like a bit of a sharp heat to it. But if you don't like it too spicy, just reduce the number of chilies, or you could remove the seeds and that will take the heat out. But the chilies do add an integral flavour. We've got 5 of those. We've got some fresh garlic. We've got 4 cloves of freshly chopped garlic. We're gonna get them nice and brown in the oil, toast those to get that lovely nutty flavour from the garlic. And then we've got our spices. Now in terms of whole spices, what we're gonna go with in this curry is we're gonna go with a teaspoon of cumin seeds, brown cumin seeds. We're going to have just a little pinch, just a pinch of fennel seeds, and we're going to have a little pinch of methi leaves as well. Those are going to be our sort of spices that we're going to temper in the oil. And then for our powdered spices, we're going to have a teaspoon of red Kashmiri chili powder. It's going to have a nice colour to the gravy. We're going to use half a teaspoon of turmeric powder. We're going to use a good heaped teaspoon of coriander powder and a scant teaspoon of cumin. And then at the end, we'll just give it a little pinch of garam masala just to lift everything, and that'll be our dish. And it's that simple. And obviously we've got some salt, we've got some oil to temper our spices in, and we've got some besan flour, or also known as gram flour, which is chickpea flour. And we're going to use a good heaped tablespoon of this just to add some thickness and body to our yogurt gravy. So let's see how we put all this together in our pan and get cracking with the curry. So we're actually going to use an aluminium pan, but you could use a stainless steel pan. An aluminium pan is not necessary for this dish. I'm just using it because it fits nicely on my gas burner here. So that's the only reason. And I'm using a wooden spoon because there's no need to really sort of scrape as much like you do with the base gravy. So this is going to work fine. So I'm just going to heat my aluminium panel, and we're just going to put in roughly about 3 tablespoons of vegetable oil into the bottom of the pan, and we'll get that nice and warm. Now while that's heating up, what we're going to do is we're going to actually make a paste with this yogurt and our spices, our powdered spices that is. So we're going to use just a good ½ teaspoon of turmeric powder, 1 teaspoon of the red Kashmiri chili powder, and a good heaped teaspoon of freshly ground coriander. Let's use a little bit more of that. A scant teaspoon that is of the cumin in there, and that's fine. Now another little trick with this is you have to keep stirring it to make sure that the gravy, the yogurt doesn't split, and we don't add salt until the end. That's another little tip for you. If you add salt in earlier, it will also make the yogurt split, so we don't do that. So just put your powdered spices in like that, and just give it a really good sort of good stir in there like that, so that all the spices get sort of added in. That's looking great. To test your oil, just drop a couple of cumin seeds in, and once they start to sizzle and dance about in the oil, you know they're ready. So we're just going to add in, as I said, a scant teaspoon brown cumin seeds, just a pinch, just a little bit, just for a slight anise background flavour of fennel, and just a good pinch of methi leaves, and just let those flavours from those spices release into the oil. And then next we're going to go in with our garlic. We're going to add the chilli in a bit later. We don't want to really cook the chilli too much. We want a bit of freshness from the chilli in this dish. So the oil's nice and hot, so we're going to add this garlic in. Keep our eye on it because we don't want to burn the garlic. We just want it so it's going nice and brown at the edges. So I'm going to turn the heat down a little bit. You really need to keep the heat lowish for this dish, otherwise things just tend to speed along, and before long, you know, you've mucked it up. So just keep the heat low on this one. No need to be cooking with a high temperature. So the garlic's just starting to look like it's going brown at the edges. So we're going to add in 2 tablespoonfuls of the besan flour. Just sprinkle that in to the oil like that, and we really need to just sort of make a paste with this in the oil. So you really have to stir this in quite vigorously with your wooden spoon. Take it off the heat just to slow things down, but make sure that you get rid of all those clumps, because you'll get some clumps forming. We really want a nice sort of paste. Don't know if you can see that there. Sort of getting there. We've got a few clumps. Just be patient. Just keep on sort of stirring it around like that. This is going to form a nice sort of thick gravy. But we can sort of, you can choose the consistency of this dish. I like it to be fairly thick, but not too thick. And therefore we're going to add a little bit of water, hot water, just to get the desired consistency. That's looking great. I don't know if you can see that, but there you go. So we've dissolved all that gram flour in to the oil with the spices. So the next thing to do is take your yogurt paste that you've mixed with your spices. As I said, we're going to use about 6 tablespoons here. Bit more, that'll do. And then just turn up the heat slightly, because what we're looking to do is cook this yogurt spice mixture, so we release all the flavors out of the spices with the yogurt until we start to see the oil and the yogurt starting to split. When that happens, we know it's cooked. Now, another little tip for you guys, you might be tempted to want to put salt in at this stage. Don't put salt in at the end, because salt will cause the yogurt to not cook right. It will split too much and you won't get the nice sort of even sauce that you're looking for. So we're just going to keep turning this. This is one of those dishes that you just have to pay a little bit of attention to and fuss over a bit, but the end result is so worth it. Believe me, it's really, really tasty, this. So that's starting to thicken up really nice, but we're just waiting till we see. I'm going to turn it up a bit more. Yeah, just till we start to see that oil splitting a little bit from the gravy. I'm just going to add a little bit of water just to loosen it slightly, because it's just a bit too thick. Make sure the water that you add's hot so you don't bring down the temperature too much in the pan. And you can turn the heat up now as we're just looking to try and split this a little bit so we know that our spices have cooked. That's a good indication for you that when your sort of oil splits from the sauce, just like with the BIR curry really, you'd know that your spices are cooked. If you're cooking with a frying pan style of pan like this, I would normally in the house use a saucepan. Just pay attention to the edges, because just like with a normal BIR curry, it will stick at the edges and you don't want it burning. So just keep your eye on that if you're using that. So I can see now that the oil's starting to split, so that's looking really good from the mixture. So now what we're going to do is we're going to add in our potatoes straight in there like that. We're just going to turn those potatoes into our gravy just so that the potatoes are coated. Oh, it's smelling really good. It's amazing. Just no onions, no meat, no other vegetables. Now, what we're going to do at this point is just add a little bit more water. I want to create a little bit of a gravy now. By not overcooking the potatoes, they won't crumble up in the pan. If you overdo them, you'll end up with mashed potato. Really, you don't want that. So just sort of get them to the point where your fork will just go in. And you know that you've got a bit of wriggle room then to cook them for longer. So we're getting a nice gravy sort of building up. I don't know if you can see that there on the camera, but this really nice sort of gravy is starting to form in the pan with our potatoes. I'm going to put a little bit more water because I want to cook this for about another 3 or 4 minutes. So I'm going to add a bit more water, turn up the heat. Just get this sort of simmering away. This is one of those veggie dishes that is really beautiful, looks really nice when you serve it up because the colours are so nice, especially once we've added the coriander and the green chilies in with the beautiful yellow thick yogurt sauce. So we're going to add in our fresh chilies. We're also going to add in half of our coriander. We'll just leave a little bit, well, maybe 2/3 we'll put in now. We'll just leave a little bit just to garnish it at the end. I mean, just look at those colours, guys. Doesn't that look absolutely lovely? I think the most avowed carnivores among you would still feel tempted with this. You know, a lot of India, they eat really simple, really simple. I think we have a very rich, complicated diet in the West, don't we? It's not always the best thing, but they will eat very simple, like, you know, you call it sort of mono eating, really, one vegetable, one main sort of ingredient. You don't need to have lots of different ingredients in the pan. So that's cooking away nicely. Now we can add our salt in. And we're going to add about a teaspoon of salt. I mean, salt to taste, you might want a little less salt, but generally speaking, especially with veggie curries, but just with spicy food in general, salt really does bring out the flavours. Often where people go wrong with South Asian cooking is they just don't add enough salt, they don't season it enough, and they wonder why, even when they've used all these spices and garam masala, it still doesn't sort of taste right, and it's just because it's just not enough salt. So I would suggest you at least need a teaspoon in. Don't forget, this is going to serve 2 or 3 people, just so that you bring out all your flavours with your seasoning, with your salt. So it's been about 3 or 4 minutes on. We got it to the design consistency with the water where we wanted it, and then we cooked it about 3 or 4 minutes more, and we've turned the heat down just until we start to see the oil rising to the top of our curry, which is telling us it's ready. So then what we want to do is just take a teaspoon, take half a teaspoon of freshly ground garam masala and just sprinkle it in like that. And just give it a little stir. And we can serve that up now and do the all-important taste test. We can just sprinkle a little bit more fresh coriander just for garnish, just to make it look pretty. The yellow and the green just looks so nice. Have a look at that and tell me that that doesn't look absolutely delicious. Let's do the all-important taste test, and I'll do my best to describe how this potato curry tastes. So first of all, a little bit of the sauce. I'm going to get some of the fresh chilli in there, a bit of the coriander as well. Just to think of one word, the word is satisfying. You know, some things that you eat have got a very satisfying depth and flavour. Well, that's what this has got. You've got like a sort of, it's like a sourness, that's it. You've got this sourness of the yogurt, not too sour because we've cooked it. You can taste those whole spices in there, the garam masala, the chili popping in your mouth, with that sourness of the yogurt. Let's just try it with a piece of potato as well. It is a potato curry after all. Well, this is hot, so I'm going to have to just let it cool down. Wow. If you're using a really good quality potato with this yogurt sauce, it's just creamy in the mouth. It's got a real creamy, sort of satisfying, slightly sour, spicy flavour. It is so delish. And if you're not into veggie curries, you're more of a meatitarian, why not make this as a side order? This would be, or you know, a side dish rather, I should say. This would be really nice to serve up. It looks so pretty, and it's just something a little bit different rather than the same old, same old. And India does so many fantastic, great veggie curries. They're predominantly vegetarian in India. Most of the food that's eaten in India, I'm not talking about Bangladesh or Pakistan, is vegetarian, and they produce some great curries, and this is one of those recipes. I've had it for years and I come back to it over and over and over again because it's just so tasty. So hopefully this will satisfy you veggies out there that keep on nagging me to do more veggie curries. Try this. Oh wow, that is so good. Make it, let me know what you think about it, and I look forward to interacting with you in the comments. So thanks for joining. If you are new to this channel, don't forget to subscribe, hit the bell notification button. You'll be alerted as I make new recipe videos on this channel. If you are a regular visitor, thank you for coming back. I really appreciate that. Please give me a like. It does help these videos get found if you give me a like. So thanks for watching. I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Until then, happy currying.